You know, money has this strange way of making people feel safe. It makes them feel powerful, even invincible, at least for a while. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Money without discipline will disappear. Not might, not could, it will. And I've seen it happen again and again. People who suddenly get money, people who worked hard and finally made it, people who got lucky, won something, inherited something. All of them at some point stood on the same slippery slope. Because money, my friend, doesn't stay with those who don't respect it. It doesn't care how much you have. It cares how much control you have. You see, there's a difference between making money and keeping money. Making money is about hustle, about work, about talent, or maybe even timing. But keeping it, that's about discipline. The kind of discipline that most people avoid because it doesn't feel exciting. Think about it. Making money gives you dopamine. You feel like you're winning. But discipline? It feels like sacrifice. It feels like saying no when everyone else says yes. It feels like waking up early when you don't have to and saving when you could easily spend. But here's the irony. It's exactly those small acts of restraint that build the foundation for lasting wealth. Without discipline, money becomes like water held in your hands. It slips away no matter how tightly you try to hold on. I remember reading about lottery winners who went bankrupt just a few years after hitting the jackpot. They had millions, and still ended up with nothing. Why? Because they never built the mental framework to handle abundance. They had the money, but not the muscle. And that's what this is really about. Discipline is the muscle of success. You can have all the opportunities in the world, but if you don't have that inner structure, that system that keeps you grounded, life will take back what it gave you. It's not punishment. It's a principle. Wealth without wisdom collapses. Success without structure crumbles, and comfort without awareness becomes chaos. Let me ask you something. How many times have you promised yourself that you'd start saving next month, that you'd stop wasting on things you don't need, that you'd get serious about your future? And yet, here we are, scrolling through endless distractions, spending before thinking, chasing instant gratification instead of long-term security. You see, discipline isn't about restriction. It's about protection. It's the wall that guards your progress, the routine that keeps your dream alive when motivation fades. Because motivation, as powerful as it feels, is temporary. But discipline, that's permanent. It's the invisible engine that keeps you moving even when the road gets dark. So many people believe that if they just earn more, their problems will go away. But earning more only magnifies who you already are. If you're careless with $100, you'll be reckless with 100,000. If you can't manage scarcity, you'll drown in abundance. Money only amplifies your habits. It's not a savior. It's a mirror. And that mirror doesn't lie. When I was younger, I thought success was about making money fast. I worked hard, I took risks, I made some wins, and then I watched that money vanish faster than it came. And I realized something painful but true. It wasn't life that was unfair, it was me who was unprepared. Because life doesn't reward those who earn the most. It rewards those who learn the most. And the biggest lesson life ever teaches about money is that earning it is easy. Keeping it takes character. So if you've ever wondered why some people seem to stay rich, stable, calm, it's not luck. It's not inheritance. It's not even brilliance. It's structure. They've built systems around themselves, habits, rules, limits, not because they're boring, but because they're smart. They understand that freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is having control over your future, and that control only comes through discipline. Remember, money has energy. It flows toward those who respect it and away from those who abuse it. And respect means planning, patience, and persistence. So today, I want you to ask yourself, not how much money you can make, but how much discipline you can build. Because money without discipline is like a fire without a container. It burns bright, then burns everything around it. You don't need more income. You need more intention. You don't need more chances. You need more choices. Smart choices, guided by a disciplined mind. This is where the journey begins, right here, in the decision to treat your money not as a toy, but as a tool. Because tools build empires. Toys disappear in time. And if you truly want to build an empire, something lasting, something unshakable, then it starts with you building the one thing that will protect your wealth from disappearing: discipline. Because here's the thing, discipline isn't something you wake up with one morning like magic. It's something you build day after day, decision after decision, when no one's watching, when it's boring, when it's inconvenient. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Think of discipline as the quiet architect of your financial future, the invisible force that turns your intentions into outcomes. If money is a seed, discipline is the soil. Without it, nothing grows. Most people think wealth is about strategy, but the truth is it's about psychology. It's not about how smart you are, it's about how consistent you can be. Because if you can't manage your impulses, you can't manage your income. Every impulsive purchase, every "I'll save later," every "I deserve this moment," it's all erosion. It eats away at your potential wealth bit by bit until you're left wondering where it all went. But here's the good news. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you can train, like a muscle. You build it by starting small, by keeping promises to yourself, by following through even when no one will ever know. And that's the foundation of true wealth. The ability to trust yourself with your own future. When you keep breaking your promises, you stop believing yourself. But when you start keeping them, you start feeling powerful again. You start realizing that control isn't a burden. It's a superpower. Imagine if every dollar you earned had a job, some to spend, some to save, some to invest. That's discipline in action. It's giving direction to your energy instead of letting it drift aimlessly. I once read about a man who made an average income his whole life, yet retired with millions. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't own a business empire. He just mastered consistency, saving, investing, delaying gratification. While everyone else spent to impress, he saved to progress. And that's the lesson most people miss. Money doesn't disappear by accident. It disappears through habits. Habits of spending, habits of avoiding reality, habits of living for today without preparing for tomorrow. You see, discipline is not just about saying no to spending. It's about saying yes to something bigger. It's saying yes to freedom, yes to peace of mind, yes to waking up one day and realizing you're not controlled by bills, debts, or desperation. That's real wealth. Not what's in your wallet, but what's in your mind. If you can master your emotions, you can master your money. Because money is emotional. It triggers fear, excitement, insecurity, pride. And if you don't control those emotions, they'll control your financial destiny. I remember when I first started tracking every single thing I spent. It was annoying. It felt obsessive. But then something shifted. I became aware. Awareness is the beginning of discipline. You can't fix what you don't measure. And slowly I started noticing patterns. The late-night spending, the unnecessary subscriptions, the random purchases that added up to hundreds every month. Awareness creates power, and power builds confidence. That's why most people stay broke. Not because they don't make enough, but because they refuse to face the truth of where it's all going. But you're different. You're here, listening, reflecting, and that already puts you ahead of the crowd. Because the moment you start paying attention, the game changes. You start realizing that every financial choice is a vote for the kind of future you want to live in. You either vote for chaos or control. You either grow your money or you grow your excuses. There's no middle ground. And that's what I want you to understand. Discipline is not punishment. It's protection. It protects you from your weaker self, from emotional decisions, from temporary thrills that cause permanent damage. You have to think long-term, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. The disciplined version of you is out there, waiting, smiling, living free, but that version depends entirely on the choices you make today. You can't have freedom without sacrifice. You can't have stability without structure. The people who look effortless today, the ones traveling, investing, living comfortably, they once did the hard things that no one else wanted to do. They practiced restraint. They delayed gratification. They learned that money is a tool, not a trophy. And if you treat it like a trophy, it will vanish the moment you stop winning. But if you treat it like a tool, it will build your foundation brick by brick. You know what the real test of discipline is? How you behave when no one's watching. Because it's easy to post motivational quotes about saving and success, but it's hard to say no to a lifestyle that impresses others but empties your pockets. Every time you choose delayed pleasure over instant gratification, you're building character. Every time you track your spending, you're sharpening awareness. Every time you say, "Not today," you're planting a seed for tomorrow. And one day, those seeds will grow into a garden of financial peace. Not because you got lucky, but because you stayed loyal to your plan. I want you to think of money like a river. Discipline is the dam that controls its flow. Without a dam, it floods and destroys everything. But with structure, that same river powers cities, builds opportunities, and sustains life. Your energy, your time, your income, they all flow the same way. Control them, and they'll multiply. Ignore them, and they'll drown you. So, when I say money without discipline will disappear, I'm not talking theory. I'm talking about the universal law of cause and effect. You reap what you sow, you keep what you manage, and you lose what you neglect. So let's get practical. The first step is awareness. Track every expense for 30 days. Don't judge, just observe. The second step is boundaries. Decide what matters and cut the rest. The third step is automation. Automate savings, investments, and bills so discipline becomes effortless. And finally, the fourth step is purpose. Give your money a mission. When your money has a purpose, it stops being random. It starts working for you, not against you. These 4 steps are the foundation of the discipline blueprint. They're not glamorous, but they're powerful. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how fast you earn, it's about how well you control. And that control, that peace, that quiet confidence of knowing you're on top of your game, that's what separates those who keep their wealth from those who watch it disappear. Discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about direction. You're not losing freedom, you're creating it. And every discipline choice you make today is another brick in the wall of your financial independence. Build that wall strong and no storm can tear it down. But here's where most people fail. They build that wall halfway and then stop. They start strong, but somewhere along the road, the noise of life pulls them back. The world we live in doesn't reward patience. It rewards show. Everywhere you look, someone's flashing success, pretending wealth, posting luxuries that may not even be theirs. And that's the hidden enemy of discipline, comparison. Because comparison whispers you're behind, when in reality, you're right on time. It makes you doubt the slow, steady process that truly builds lasting wealth. You start to think you need to spend more to look successful, that you need to upgrade, to match, to prove something. And that's where the trap begins. You see, comparison kills discipline faster than temptation ever could. You stop focusing on your journey and start competing with illusions. You lose your lane, your rhythm, your plan. You start chasing moments instead of building momentum. And just like that, the foundation you worked so hard to build starts to crack. Not because you didn't know what to do, but because you forgot why you were doing it. You see, discipline without purpose turns into punishment, but discipline with purpose turns into power. That's why you must constantly remind yourself of your why. Why are you saving? Why are you investing? Why are you building this life of control and consistency? Because if your why isn't strong enough, the world will distract you out of your destiny. I've seen people with amazing financial potential lose it all, not because they were reckless, but because they were reactive. One emotional purchase after another, one just this once after another. And those little exceptions became expensive lessons. But you're different. You're learning to build awareness, and awareness gives you the ability to pause. That pause between impulse and decision is where discipline lives. Most people never find it, but once you do, everything changes. Suddenly, you start thinking in decades, not days. You start asking, does this decision serve my long-term peace? Rather than, will this make me feel good right now? And that's when you begin stepping into mastery. True wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how little you need to feel fulfilled. When you master that mindset, money becomes a servant, not a master. Think of it like this. The disciplined person plants seeds and waters them daily, while the undisciplined one digs up the soil every morning to check if something grew overnight. You can't rush growth. You can only nurture it. Patience is not weakness. It's wisdom in slow motion. But we live in a culture that tells you to treat yourself instead of train yourself. It sells pleasure, not progress. It glorifies spending, not saving. And you have to be strong enough to resist that noise. Because financial freedom isn't built on what you buy. It's built on what you don't. It's the restraint, the delayed gratification, the quiet moments when you walk past temptation and smile, knowing you're building something bigger. Remember, you're not in competition with anyone, you're in partnership with your future self. Every decision you make today is either making that future stronger or weaker. If you can remember that, every dollar starts to feel different, more meaningful, more intentional. That's how discipline transforms your relationship with money. You no longer see it as a source of stress. You see it as a system of opportunity. You start creating categories, budgets, investments, not because it's fun, but because it's freeing. And here's the real beauty. Once you master discipline in money, it starts to bleed into every area of your life. You become more focused in your work, more patient in your relationships, more deliberate with your time. Because money discipline is really life discipline. It's all connected. You can't expect control in one area if you live in chaos in another. You can't demand success from the world if you can't manage yourself. And that's what this message is really about. Not just money disappearing, but you disappearing into distraction. The undisciplined life wastes everything: time, talent, opportunities, and yes, money. It's like pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how much you pour, it never stays full. But when you start repairing those cracks, through awareness, purpose, structure, and boundaries, you suddenly start to see results that feel almost magical. You start saving without struggling. You start investing without fear. You start saying no without guilt. And that's when you realize something profound. Wealth was never about luck. It was about alignment. When your habits align with your goals, your results align with your dreams. That's why I tell people, if you want to become rich, don't chase money. Chase mastery. Chase the kind of mindset that says, I control my impulses. I protect my peace. I play the long game. Because in that mindset, money multiplies naturally. Think of your discipline as gravity. It keeps your goals from floating away. Without it, everything you build drifts into chaos. You can't anchor success without consistency. You can't sustain freedom without responsibility. It's all connected. And once you understand that, you stop asking, how can I get rich? And start asking, how can I become the kind of person who stays rich? Because the truth is, wealth doesn't change you. It reveals you. It magnifies your habits, your patterns, your mindset, and that's why the universe always tests you with small amounts before it trusts you with more. If you can't manage a little, you'll never multiply a lot. So, when life gives you a small opportunity, treat it like it's worth millions. Handle it with care, structure, patience. Because how you treat $1 determines how you'll handle 10,000. Discipline isn't about the amount. It's about the attitude. And the moment you start acting like a disciplined, focused, wealth-minded individual, the universe starts to meet you at that frequency. Suddenly, you begin attracting opportunities that match your mindset. You start meeting people who mirror your goals. You stop chasing and you start attracting. That's the quiet power of discipline. It changes your energy, and your energy changes your reality. So the next time you feel tempted to splurge, to impress, to compare, pause. Remember this: money doesn't disappear. It simply moves to the person more disciplined than you. Let that sink in. Every dollar that leaves your hands because of emotion is entering the hands of someone who acted with intention. So, make a vow to yourself today. You will no longer be careless with what you worked so hard for. You will be intentional, consistent, and strategic. Because your dreams deserve more than momentary satisfaction. They deserve longevity. The disciplined mind builds the life that the undisciplined only dreams about. And while others chase the appearance of success, you'll quietly build the substance of it. That's what makes you unstoppable. And now we arrive at the part most people never reach. The transformation. The moment when discipline stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like strength. Because at some point, all those no's you said, all those temptations you resisted, all those habits you built, they start to pay off. Not just in your bank account, but in your peace of mind, your confidence, your self-respect. You stop feeling deprived and start feeling empowered. You walk differently. You talk differently. Because now every choice you make has weight and purpose. And that's the real secret. Discipline doesn't take away your freedom. It gives it back to you. The truth is, most people are prisoners of their own desires. They chase every impulse, every shiny thing, every emotional high, and in doing so, they lose control of the very thing that could have set them free, their focus. But you, my friend, are breaking that cycle. You've seen the pattern, and you've decided to rise above it. You're learning to delay pleasure for power, to trade instant gratification for infinite growth. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because the world will always test your discipline. It'll tempt you with shortcuts, distractions, and comfort. It'll whisper, just this once. And that single phrase has destroyed more dreams than failure ever did. But when you build the kind of discipline that no longer negotiates with temptation, that no longer makes decisions based on feelings but on principles, you become unstoppable. You see, discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again, even after you fall, even after you fail, even after you feel like giving up. Because every time you rise, you prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your moods. And when it comes to money, that's everything. The undisciplined person spends when they're sad, celebrates when they're stressed, and escapes through expenses. But the disciplined one feels those same emotions and channels them. They let pain become purpose. They let desire become direction. They let frustration become fuel. And slowly, that mindset turns ordinary people into extraordinary success stories. Let me tell you something. Every financially free person you admire once stood at the crossroads you're standing at right now. The choice between ease and excellence, between now and later, between fantasy and focus, and they chose discipline. They chose to live today like others wouldn't, so they could live tomorrow like others can't. That's the unglamorous truth behind every overnight success. It's not luck. It's layers of self-control stacked over years. It's small sacrifices multiplied by consistency. It's the courage to say, I will not let short-term comfort steal my long-term calling. Because that's what undisciplined spending really does. It steals from your future self. Every dollar wasted is a piece of your dream delayed. But every dollar managed with purpose is a brick in the foundation of your freedom. So I want you to picture something, 5 years from now, the disciplined version of you. The version that said no to comparison, no to carelessness, no to chaos. The version that tracked every expense, saved consistently, invested wisely, learned patiently. That version of you wakes up without panic. Bills are paid. Debts are gone. Opportunities are flowing. You're not chasing money. Money's working for you. That version of you feels light, focused, unstoppable. And the best part? It wasn't luck. It was built, brick by brick, through discipline. That's who you're becoming, and it all starts with one decision: to stop treating money like a moment and start treating it like a mission. Because if you don't control your money will control you. And trust me, financial stress is one of the worst prisons a person can live in. It suffocates creativity, it steals joy, it destroys relationships. But when you take back control, when you start managing, planning, and saving, you unlock a version of life that feels peaceful. Not because everything's perfect, but because you are in control. That's what discipline gives you: power, peace, and purpose. So let me leave you with a few truths that will anchor your journey. Number 1, discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Wanting a better life isn't enough. You must act like the person who deserves it. Number 2, your habits are your harvest. What you plant daily will either feed you or drain you. And number 3, money flows to respect. It leaves the careless and multiplies with the careful. If you respect every dollar, it'll start working for you. But disrespect it, and it'll find a new home. So from this moment forward, I want you to treat discipline like your most valuable investment. Because every act of discipline pays compound interest, in peace, in pride, in prosperity. The late nights you avoid wasting, the temptations you walk past, the patience you practice, those are your deposits into a future that will never stop paying you back. And when you feel like giving up, when the process feels slow, remember this: discipline isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you for the weight of success you've been praying for. You can't carry the blessing if you don't first build the backbone. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop blaming circumstances. Stop saying one day. Discipline starts today. Every time you get paid, practice gratitude and control. Every time you're tempted, pause and remind yourself what you're building. Every time you see someone flashing their wealth online, smile. Because you know you're building something real, something lasting, something they might not have: peace of mind. And here's your challenge. For the next 90 days, I want you to practice financial discipline like never before. Track every expense. Save at least 10% of your income no matter what. Read about investing. Say no to unnecessary spending. Build a system so strong that even your weakest moments can't break it. 90 days. That's your test. Because if you can stay disciplined for 3 months, you'll start seeing results that will shock you. You'll start realizing how much power you've been giving away to habits that don't serve you. You'll see how much abundance was waiting on the other side of self-control. And when that happens, when you feel that shift, you'll understand why discipline was never your enemy. It was your edge. You'll look back and thank yourself for every sacrifice, every decision, every boundary. Because now, money doesn't disappear anymore. It grows, it flows, it multiplies. And most importantly, you've grown with it. So as I close, I want you to remember this forever. Money without discipline will disappear, but discipline without money will eventually attract it. The disciplined mind will always find a way to create, to build, to win. So keep building, keep growing, keep mastering yourself. Because the greatest wealth you can ever own is not in your account, it's in your character. And when you master that, no economy, no failure, no loss can ever take your power away again. You've got this. Now go out there and live disciplined, live focused, and live free.